I love winter. Winter is quiet and peaceful and cozy. But it also makes me depressed. Seasonal depression is something a lot of people living in regions with 4 seasons, like me in New England, deal with during the colder winter months. And depression is something a lot of creatives deal with year-round. That makes winter a tough time for me personally on the art front. I get into a lull each year around this time that's hard to break out of. It's always nice to embody a hibernating bear in the early months of winter and focus on self-care and recharging. But after some time has passed and you're still not feeling that creative spark come back, it might just be depression causing art block. So as we roll closer to spring, I try to shift my self-care towards ways to ease back into productivity. Spring cleaning is a cliche, but it's true. It works. Refreshing your rest and workspaces really gets you out of that nesting zone and back into feeling light again. It's not always a sure shot, but it's a damn good place to start. It gets you moving, it gets you at least doing something that feels productive and hopefully can kickstart that snowball effect into being productive in other ways. And at the end of the day, you still have a nice clean space to work in, even if you aren't feeling productive. Also, on that idea, if you're finding it hard to be creative and productive in the spaces that you've been hibernating in, like a bedroom, try moving to a different spot. Even just for some light journaling or sketching or curating an inspo board for your next project, sometimes temporarily relocating is enough to just jumpstart you out of that hibernation rut. A lot of times I need something low stakes to ease myself back into artwork. I need something that is not going to put too much pressure and stress on myself, otherwise that defeats the purpose. I want to give myself something that is easy and fun to work on just to kind of get the ball rolling again. I really like to do draw this in your style challenges, portrait studies, or digital mock-ups of bigger projects that I know I want to tackle later on. Just little things like that that at least get me working and creating is just, it's low stakes, but still a creative outlet. And these things are essentially a way for me to practice my art again, because a lot of times I'm very rusty after taking such a long gap from not really working on anything substantial. So before I work on those bigger projects that I have been planning behind the scenes, I thought it would be the perfect time to do some portrait studies. I definitely want to get better at diversifying my art and creating more diverse looking characters, and just practice different skin tones, hairstyles, facial features, and practice drawing men. Things that I just really have been meaning to practice for a very long time, and I really need to just get myself back into a workflow. And I've really wanted to do the 100 heads challenge for a pretty long time now, but some challenges really just stress me out in the time constraints and rules of them, and I thought, I'm just gonna modify it and make it my own, because there's no rules, nothing matters, and the whole purpose of an exercise is to practice and encourage yourself and get better and work on a skill. And if I'm spending too much time stressing about the rules, then I'm not really doing anything beneficial for myself. Kind of defeats the purpose. Since this is my first session of the 100 heads challenge, let's just jump in and see how it actually feels. And then I'm sure I'll modify it as I go. I just want to have fun. So. If you're unfamiliar with the 100 Heads Challenge, it's pretty much exactly that. Draw 100 different heads. The original challenge is to do 100 heads in 10 days, so 10 heads a day. But I'm not trying to stress myself out with made-up deadlines. I just want to practice my portrait skills, and practice drawing more diverse people, and practice different approaches to art. I want something fun. So I'm making it a no-rules fun challenge that helps me in the ways I need instead of adding to any upcoming stress that I know is right around the corner anyways with all the other projects I have coming up. We're fighting depression, not feeding into it. I made a Pinterest board with a bunch of different portrait references, more than just an even 100. I wanted to give myself some that are more difficult and some that are more within my comfort zone, and the ability to bounce around in references depending on what I feel I can tackle in each session of sketches. Keep moving. So, working out of my bedroom at bedtime when the cats are most active maybe wasn't the best idea. New day, new location, and let's finish this first round of heads. Excuse me, ma'am. So obviously there's no getting away from the pets as a whole, because they live here, and that's part of having pets, is just knowing that they're going to be involved in whatever you're doing unless you physically lock them out of a room, which I don't feel like doing today. Hi, baby. some of the tricks is just to accept that they're going to be coming and going and not make a big deal out of it every time they show up, especially with the cats. Especially Evie specifically, because she thrives on attention right now as a kitten. So the more attention you give her, the more she's going to keep doing that action. So if I just let her be curious and come and go, then eventually she'll move on. So I was really struggling for a while with this upwards angle portrait specifically, and that's why I specifically chose it for this challenge. I wanted to pick things that I'm not comfortable illustrating, and this definitely fit the bill, and I really struggled with it up until probably like right now. I think I had to trust the process and trust that as I kept working at it, it would start to work itself out and I would see the problems with the anatomy that I was making and how to fix them. So far, this challenge is doing exactly what I wanted it to do as far as like helping me learn to see the problems as they come up and address them and fix them. It really took a while for me to get that specific angle where I wanted it to be, and I think I just did it, which is great because now I can move on. And that makes me more confident to go forward because I have tackled what is essentially the first hurdle that I created for myself, because that was my whole thing, as I picked faces that I knew I would be like really comfortable drawing, and then faces and angles that I knew would be a real struggle and a challenge for me. So we conquered the first one. So let's just keep at it. For this next one that I've been working on, my struggle with this was I was following the reference too closely, which isn't a bad thing. But I noticed that I was starting to focus too heavily on realism and like copying the reference like point for point. And that's not my style. And it kind of, not that practicing realism is a bad thing. It certainly is not. And I do like to, oh my God, the cats. And I do like to practice realism to get my anatomy a little bit more crisp from time to time. Or just as like a fun study, more so than like necessarily practice. I just like to try different things when I'm doing like warm-up studies and things like that, or just like to fill in my sketchbook when I feel like I just need to do a little bit something different. But for this, the point of it is to enhance on my skills for my style and like how I draw naturally. And I feel like it kind of defeated the purpose if I wasn't staying true to my style. And I think the first two ones I did a very good job at copying the reference or translating the reference, but still staying within my style. And this one, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the like specific smile, because I don't really like draw toothy smiles or anything like that. But it was like really throwing me off, and I just noticed that I was like not staying true to how I draw. And I was like, oh, it can't stay that way. So yeah, that was another, I guess, like hurdle number 2 to overcome, was still finding ways to do the reference challenge, but not lose the way I illustrate characters. And I think we're getting there. And my goal for this one is to, or for this session, essentially, which I'm breaking up into parts, is I have these Winsor & Newton watercolors that I hate. I use them like once and then never again, just because I don't like the way they feel. But you know what? I'm also trying to use as many of my art supplies in this sketchbook as I can, because that's also a good thing for sketchbooks, are to use different supplies. And I haven't used these watercolors since I was still very new to watercolors. So I'm wondering if that also was the reason I didn't like them so much, was because I just wasn't as well versed in watercolors as I am now. Basically, I'm going to be using these again, see how I like them. So I decided to do kind of like a rainbow palette. So it's going to be one person for each of the colors up until I get to like the neutrals and the skin tones. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 even. So that kind of worked out because originally the challenge is 10 heads per day. So we're going to do 10 heads for the first session. And I'm going to keep them cohesive and use just like one primary color as a wash for each of the portraits. We are finishing up the last 2 heads right now, which are men. I didn't mean to save them for last, but that's just kind of how it worked out. And then I'm going to paint them. Thankfully, drawing these 2 men, I'm actually doing a lot better than I thought I would. I'm not really struggling so much with it. So that was good. This was also a good way for me to show myself that I should just do things more often that I'm afraid of doing, because I have to trust in my art skills because they're panning out. So I am going to finish these. I'm going to paint all of them, and that'll be that. Then we'll be into a whole new season and a whole new flow of productivity. Yeah, I didn't think it would take me this long to get through 10 heads. I have no idea. Now seeing that this was my progression, I have no idea how long it's going to take me to do 100 heads. I personally think this one took so long because it's so much easier to sketch than it is to paint as far as like time management. But yeah, when I started this challenge, we were still in winter. We are now on the cusp of spring. By the time this video comes out, it'll probably be like past the spring equinox. Is it an equinox or is it a solstice? No, summer solstice, winter solstice, spring and fall equinox. So it'll, yes, be past the spring equinox. The purpose of it was to get myself out of my winter hibernation rut, get rid of my art block, and just get myself reinvigorated and back into the flow of creating and getting ready for busy season and just like get out of that seasonal depression rut. So it definitely did that. So not only did I practice my art skills by doing different heads and different character studies, but I also was able to use this as a way to practice getting back into like a good flow of productivity as well. Because it was hard to find time to sit and do this and just not having the time to focus on my art. Coming up on my busy season, this was a good way to get myself back into the flow of taking time for my artwork. I'm feeling a lot more encouraged now that I have finished my first 10 heads and have practiced drawing more. I have a lot of new exciting things that I am planning. I can't wait to work on all the other things I have planned for the rest of this year. I can't wait to continue to make new videos and show you guys new artwork. If there are any more challenges that you think would help with productivity, comment them below. Let's keep the ball rolling. Let's share things that work for us, share things that we struggle with, and let me know what you would like to see more from me in the future. If you like this video, like and subscribe, the usual. And I will be continuing to post my 100 heads journey throughout the year. I'm not doing this in 100 days. So follow me on all of my other socials if you would like to see more of this, because I'll be sprinkling them throughout everywhere as I go. Thank you so much for joining me through this very fun to make experimental video. I really loved this format. I think I will continue to integrate these kinds of productions into my video schedule. I didn't expect it to take as long as it did to finish this video, but that's on me. Happy spring, it's almost vendor season. I have so much that I'm excited for right around the corner, and I will see you guys soon. Thank you again.